When Republicans start eating their own, there's only one thing for Democrats to do: get out of the way and let it happen. J.D. Vance and Steve Bannon are just the latest round of Republicans going after each other. Not the first, and they certainly won't be the last, not with the king of chaos running the show. I'm going to detail the Vance-Bannon air war, but first, let's take a look at the disunity and conflicts going on with the Republican Party. After Trump's incredibly narrow victory over Kamala Harris, Republicans started parading around, claiming they had a landslide and a mandate and got drunk on that lie. Then reality started setting in. First, their deranged and demented leader went off and did what wannabe dictators always do: appoint sycophants to positions of power. That has Republicans arguing amongst themselves over who and how to run the country. Because yes, in addition to Fox News hosts, child sex traffickers, anti-vaxxers, and Russian assets, Trump just put this woman in charge of the Department of Education. Maybe because he thinks she will lead anti-bullying initiatives? I know that's an issue near and dear to Melania's heart. Republicans are now clawing at each other over whether the Senate should confirm Trump's wackadoodle appointments. And this is where the lack of a mandate and the slim election results kick in. Republicans told themselves it was a landslide and a mandate, and they're still pushing that lie. But here is the reality: Trump won with less than 50% of the vote. And so with no mandate and a very small majority in the Senate, confirmations are going to get tough. This is the Senate. They only have a 4-person majority. Well, don't expect Murkowski and Romney to vote for Matt Gaetz or Linda McMahon. Susan Collins of Maine, of course she will. The myth of her independence was exposed long after Kavanaugh and impeachment votes. But it's not hard to find 2 other votes against Gaetz and McMahon. Don't expect McConnell or Cornyn to go along on that ride, and don't think for a minute that Republican senators aren't acutely aware of how some of the mandate is going to cost them re-election. Inflation from tariffs, rising state and property taxes from cutting federal education funding, childhood disease and death from lack of vaccines. They are not so much along for that ride. The point is, strife and argument, resentment and retaliation are already starting amongst the Republicans, and it just landed at the top of the ticket with J.D. Vance smashing a top Bannon ally. There is absolutely nothing surprising here. Vance hates Bannon, and he's not too keen on Elon Musk either. But Vance did not fire the first salvo here. Rather, it was Bannon's top aide, Grace Chong. Chong went on a tirade after the Senate confirmed a Democratic judicial appointment, despite Trump ordering his Republican minions not to. Note, there is nothing Republicans can do since the Democrats are currently the majority, but Chong still posted this: "You guys better show up and do your one frickin' job. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and the rest of you Senate Republicans that didn't bother to show up yesterday." Well, getting chewed out by an underling on the team did not sit right with J.D. wannabe hayseed. He took to social media and wrote, "Grace Chong is a mouth-breathing imbecile who attacks those of us in the fight rather than make herself useful. If I had shown up to the vote in question, the nominee would have succeeded 49 to 46 rather than 49 to 45. If every Republican had showed up, Fetterman would have come in and the Democrats still would have gotten their nominee across." Now you just have to love Vance letting an assistant have both barrels before providing his tutelage. In other words, let it be known that I, as a Yale man, shall not be criticized by you, a mere worker, for things you have no knowledge of. But ever the educator with a passion for instructing the lowly, Vance elaborated on the point that needed no further elaboration. Posting, "I was meeting with President Trump to interview multiple positions for our government, including for FBI director. I tend to think it's more important to get an FBI director who will dismantle the deep state than it is for Republicans to lose a vote 49-46 rather than 49-45. But that's just me. But is it really just you, JD? Were you really meeting alone with Trump making decisions? Or was Elon there too? Because if Elon was there, then you really weren't necessary, were you? And just how long do we think it's going to be before the Peter Thiel backed Vance starts going up against annoying Elon, who didn't even go to Stanford, let alone Yale? I'd like to be the peacemaker here and say, now, boys, play nice. But frankly, I don't have it in me. And the truth is, it's just way more fun watching them tear each other to shreds. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.